Hey everybody, welcome to another video of the Bear Down podcast. This is your host today, Parth, and I will be talking about the Bears versus Buffalo Bills matchup. But before I start talking about the Bears and the Buffalo Bills matchup, sorry for not recording all of last week. You know, all three of us, me, Chris, Jaylen, we're all busy, high school stuff, and we just had a lot of things going on. So yeah, last week the Bears played the Jets. Just a little quick recap from last week. The Bears beat the Jets in a pretty easy fashion. We protected Soldier Field. The defense played amazing. You know, rebounded pretty well after a couple sloppy games, like you could say. The offense was sloppy in the first half, but made some great adjustments and looked great in the second half, as they have been making adjustments. It's pretty good to see the offense also thriving now. So it's a great team win. Now it's on to Buffalo. The Buffalo Bills are coming in a record with 2-6, with one very impressive win against the Vikings in Minnesota, which is really hard to beat the Vikings in Minnesota, as we know that. So in that game, the Vikings got off to a very, very slow start, and Buffalo got off to a very fast start. I think Buffalo was up 27-0 at one point. The only reason Vikings scored was because in garbage time. So the Bears are going to have to play very good defense against this Buffalo team. I mean, they don't have Josh Allen, who was playing that game. It's Nathan Peterman who's playing this week, who has been iffy in his NFL career so far. But you never know what could happen. I mean, Brock Osweiler destroyed us, so you can never take any team lightly anymore as a Bears fan. That's one thing we have to admit to. And another thing to worry about is Calvin Benjamin, who's a big threat, 6'4", wide receiver for the Buffalo Bills. The game's also in Buffalo, and we know how disruptive their crowd could be. It's literally a college football atmosphere. We watched them play this Monday against the New England Patriots, where they took an L. Was it 25-6? I'm not too sure what the exact score was, but the score wasn't as close, but the game was close. I mean, the end of third quarter, the score was 9-6. New England wasn't able to score touchdowns. They had to settle on field goals after field goals after field goals because Tom Brady got pressured in the red zone, and Buffalo was stopping the run in the red zone as well. So one thing we have to worry about as the Bears is we have to be efficient, and we got to score in the red zone. So far the Bills haven't looked that well, as we know, but it's an NFL game. Anything could happen. That's one thing we got to keep in mind. So a little overview on the Buffalo Bills and the opponent's view on the Bears. So the Bears. We would usually have a guest who would talk about the Bears right now, but we do not this week. So I'm gonna pretend like I'm a Buffalo fan, thinking about the Bears in an unbiased way. So a little sick. But if I was a Buffalo fan coming into this game, I'd worry about basically how Trubisky would play against this defense. I mean, Trubisky's been playing well, as we know that. So, as a Bills fan, I'd think about that. As a Bills fan, you'd think about how the D-line is going to be against LaShawn McCoy, because this Bears team still hasn't allowed a rushing touchdown through 8 weeks, which is pretty darn crazy to me. And I'd also think about how well the running backs would be against this Buffalo defense. Is Tariq Cohen going to have another 5 straight amazing games he's been having, catching the ball, running the ball? Is Jordan Howard going to get his 80-yard run game again, which is impressive under Matt Nagy's offense? I mean, last week, the Bears ran the ball and passed the ball at the same amount of times, which we don't really see with Nagy's offense. It's usually a little bit more pass-heavy. So that was pretty cool to see. And how about Trey Burton? Trey Burton was very quiet last game, too, so that's one thing I'd worry about as a Bills fan is Nagy going to make Trey Burton super explosive this game? Because the Bears are pretty good at hiding their stuff. So they'll bring one player in for a week, and then one player he'll be a little slow, and then the other week the other player will ball out. So that's one thing I'd worry about as a Bills fan. But who to watch out for in the Buffalo Bills? The Buffalo Bills offense isn't the best offense. We know that. I mean, they haven't put up many points this year, especially with Nathan Peterman, who's thrown 5 picks in one half before. We know how that goes with Nathan Peterman, and how against the Texans they had a nice little lead, and Peterman blew it by throwing back-to-back picks, which led to the Texans eventually scoring off of a pick 6 to win the game. And against this Bears defense, he's not going to get many chances. I mean, the pass rush will be there, and we got pretty good corners and safeties, in my opinion. So, but one player to watch out on the offense, in my opinion, is Kelvin Benjamin, who would be a very good wide receiver, in my opinion, if he had better quarterbacks. He's 6'4". I mean, who doesn't like a big wide receiver like that? 6'4", 220. I remember when the commentator said he's one Popeye's chicken away from being a tight end, which is kind of funny. But he literally is one Popeye's chicken away from being a tight end. He's humongous. And our corners aren't big at all. I mean, Kyle Fuller or Prince, I don't know who's going to guard him, but whoever's going to guard him is going to have a tough task guarding him, even though if it's Nathan Peterman throwing the ball, because all you have to do is throw the ball in the air, and this guy can bring it down. So we'll see how the Bears can respond to Kelvin Benjamin. And one player to watch out on the defense is Tre'Davious White. You know, Mitchell Trubisky is a great quarterback. I mean, all things regarded, yes, he makes mistakes, he throws picks. There's times where you're like, what the hell was that throw? Like, it's a head scratcher. And there's times where like, oh my God, that was a beautiful throw. Oh my God, that was a beautiful run. Oh my God, he has all the tangibles. He's a great leader. And there's other times, like I said, it's like, So, one player to watch out is Tre'Davious White, to see how Trubisky can respond against such a great corner/safety he is. I mean, Tre'Davious White, in my opinion, was one of the best corners of last year, and he's playing pretty well this year too. So we're gonna have to see how Trubisky leans on that side. I guess you could say like how he'll respond, what adjustments he'll make, what type of throws he'll make to whoever Tre'Davious is guarding. And also on defense, they also got Tremaine Edmonds, who's I think has a concussion, who's under concussion protocol. So I'm not sure if he's playing. But for the Bears, that's one thing we got to look at. Like, I mean, during the draft, it was either Tremaine Edmonds or Roquan Smith. We went with middle finger, whoops. We went with Roquan Smith. But, yeah, so it would be kind of cool to see if we drafted Tremaine, what would have happened and since we drafted Roquan, what would have happened. So far, Tremaine's having a really impressive year. Tremaine's looked pretty darn good to me. I mean, there's a lot of great linebackers from this year's draft class, which even makes Roquan Smith look like a head scratcher. But I'm really happy with drafting Roquan Smith. But there's like with the Colts drafted Darius Leonard, who's having a very great year. I mean, he's shown that he's the best linebacker so far of this class. But it's just a matter of time before Roquan gets going and shows why he is worth the 8th pick. So what has Buffalo struggled on? The Bills so far are 2-6. I mean, when you hear about a 2-6 team, it should be a pretty easy game if we're 4-3 also. The Bears have a rough history of being 2-6 and all that for the last couple of years, but we're past that now. But they've struggled on scoring the ball. I mean, there's times where you'd be like, their offense is super stagnant. It reminds you of that Dowell Loggins offense that we had last year, like a ton of stupid stuff. I mean, last week on Monday night against the Patriots, they ran trick plays for like half the game, like flea flickers, wildcats with LaShawn McCoy taking it up the middle, which barely worked because he had 12 rushes for 13 yards against New England's defense. Just imagine our defense, which is really good at stopping the run. And can we go another game without allowing a rushing touchdown, which is another thing to keep in mind, in my opinion. But yeah, the offense is super stagnant, especially with Nathan Peterman. I doubt they can get much going. And on the defense, it's going to be interesting to see if they can stop the run. I mean, it's going to be cold in Buffalo, so we're not going to see as many passes anymore, even in Chicago, because it's tough to throw the ball in windy conditions as a quarterback. That ball sails sometimes. That ball could be underthrown, overthrown, which leads to a lot of bad throws or bad decision. And you'd say, like, you'd blame the quarterback for it. So you're going to see a lot of runs by Tariq and Jordan Howard, and maybe read options by Mitchell Trubisky as well, because he's super athletic. So it'll be interesting to see how how they can stop the run as well. Because last week the Patriots didn't have Sony Michel to run against, so you saw James White struggle a little bit against the Bills while running the ball, but he was pretty good again out of catching the ball like Tariq Cohen. So it'll be interesting to see how the Bears will run the ball against this Buffalo defense. Yeah, but that's about it for this video, and we cannot take this lightly, Bears fans. Even though it's Buffalo Bills, we have a 10-point spread win. You cannot take any team in the NFL lightly. I mean, we took Miami lightly, and we saw what happened. So we can't take this game lightly. We have to come out, show who we are, put up points on the board, play great defense. It'll also be interesting to see if Khalil Mack's back, if Allen Robinson's back. But yeah, we just got to do our job, put up 30 points, play some great defense against this stagnant, less impressive Buffalo offense, and I believe we could easily win this game. But once again, anything could happen, so let's not get cocky. Bear down, Chicago. Peace.